All right, welcome back to Black Cat Crypto Club, everybody. My name is Drake. We've had some important news come out in the last today and some news yesterday that pertains to the Ethereum ETFs and not good news. So you can probably remember if you saw my last video on Ethereum and their ETFs, I was pretty optimistic on Ethereum getting these ETFs approved in May. Now, some of the news and amendments that have come forward, not even I would support. So we're going to get into that. There was also some news today about the Ethereum Foundation being under investigation. So we're going to get into all of that and more. But first of all, guys, if you haven't donated, go over and throw these guys a few bucks. These animals are needy animals that a small sanctuary here. A couple bucks really goes a long way to help them out. It's very much appreciated on my side as well. I don't have any direct link to these guys. It's just something that's important to me. Help these animals out. So please go over and check them out. The PayPal is at the bottom of this flyer, and I always leave that information in the description of the video as well. So let's get into it. We've had some developments on the ETF for Ethereum, and one big one pertains to staking. And I really started thinking about this after we got the Bitcoin ETF approval. I kind of started thinking about the differences between Bitcoin and Ethereum. And a lot of people see these ETFs from Bitcoin as a negative thing. You know, they see it as BlackRock owns all of this Bitcoin, and even Gary Gensler, as salty and sour as he was after having to approve all of these ETFs for Bitcoin, he came out and said some just underhanded things about Bitcoin. But he also came out and was like, you guys all think this is great for Bitcoin, but this is really about centralization. BlackRock's going to have so many Bitcoins under their control. It's really about centralization. And it's really not. It doesn't matter essentially how many coins one person even holds. Even if that were the case, you know, if BlackRock swallowed up 99% of the Bitcoin and decided they were just going to hold it, it really wouldn't matter much, you know, for the Bitcoin network. It doesn't centralize the network anyway. So, you know, we could still trade, even if there was just one Bitcoin left in existence outside of BlackRock, people would still have, I mean, that is divisible pretty much infinitely. So we'd still be able to use the network and it would go on as always. As far as price manipulation, yeah, one person holding so many Bitcoin, they could easily manipulate price. But here's where those people are wrong. BlackRock doesn't own those Bitcoin. Okay, they provide the vehicle, the investment vehicle for people on Wall Street to own Bitcoin. But BlackRock doesn't own those Bitcoin. The people who buy the ETF essentially own that Bitcoin. BlackRock actually doesn't even store their Bitcoin. Coinbase is their custodian. So people who say that, you know, the ETFs were horrible, it's a centralization thing, don't really understand how ETFs work. However, When it comes to Ethereum, Ethereum's a little bit different because Bitcoin is a proof of work network. So miners are the people that decentralize, it's a decentralized mining network. And Ethereum is a proof of stake. So to essentially mine Ethereum, you have to put forward tokens. So if these ETFs swallowed up a bunch of tokens, decided they were going to start staking, that would go very far in centralizing Ethereum's network. And after I started thinking about that, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm for Ethereum ETFs. And time went on, and I kind of thought about it, and I was like, there's no way that they would even try that. The SEC would obviously deny it. For one, ETFs are often regulated and required to close any transactions. So if an Ethereum or if any ETF has a big sale day, they have to settle those sales. They have to sell that Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever commodity is in the ETF. And it usually has to settle with, it's like a T plus one or whatever. It means basically you've got one business day to make that sale and settle that transaction. If you're staking Ethereum and somebody decides they want to sell, there's no way for you to unstake and settle that transaction in one day. To unstake Ethereum, it takes 11 days to maybe 2 weeks at this point. So I kind of wrote it off as, that obviously won't happen. It won't work with Ethereum's, with their settlement regulations. It just isn't something that's in the cards. And so I kind of wrote it off. And plus, these ETF providers have to know that the SEC would be against that. You would think. But we just had one of the big Ethereum ETF applications make an amendment to their application, and it's including staking. So I'm going to actually jump over to a clip from Paul Barron, and he reports on this application and kind of what goes through what it means for this ETF. So check this out.
And they have done something, and that is they've refiled, or not filed, but made an amendment to their ETF offering. So in this document, according to the registration statement, sponsors from time to time may stake a portion of the fund's assets through one or more staking providers, which may include affiliate or sponsor staking providers. In consideration for any staking activity which the fund may engage, the fund would receive certain network rewards of Ether tokens, which may be treated as income to the fund as compensation for the services provided. So there's some interesting changes happening around Ethereum.
Wow. This blows me away that Fidelity, especially Fidelity, is the one coming forward so boldly and saying, yeah, we plan on staking. I don't know what they're thinking, to be honest. They've got to know that the SEC is not going to go for this. And I hope they don't. Like, if that's the case, I don't want an Ethereum ETF because, yeah, it would affect the price, short term, long term, probably. And it would be a good thing for Ethereum's price. But it wouldn't, it would be horrible for Ethereum's centralization or decentralization at that, for that matter. So I don't know. I don't understand where Fidelity's coming from with this at all. You know, hopefully these other ETF providers, BlackRock and Valkyrie and 21 Shares, kind of realize that Fidelity's screwing up here. And I hope that they amend their applications to specifically say, we will never stake. Like I would love to see that in an application. And I think that's honestly probably for the SEC to pass off on this thing. I think that's going to have to be written into the application that staking is never going to be a thing with these ETFs. I don't see any other way around it. I don't see how you can have a regulated settlement time. I mean, even with just a portion of the ETF, like it just doesn't make sense. Because if you allow staking at some point, at some extreme, if there's extreme selling, you're not going to be able to meet that regulated settlement time. And it's just horrible for Ethereum's network, in my opinion. So I hope that actually gets denied. If that is the final draft of Fidelity's ETF that goes through, I hope that gets denied. And I think it will, honestly. If they don't take that out, if BlackRock and these other issuers don't put it in that they're never going to stake, I don't see them getting approved that way. I kind of, I guess, stupidly thought that was kind of implied, but apparently not. So, guys, I don't know. We're going to jump back over to James Seifert. He is one of the experts on ETF, one of the expert analysts on ETFs. And him and Eric Balchunas have really become kind of celebrities in the cryptocurrency world because they really had all the info on analyzing the Bitcoin ETFs. And so these guys really are the experts. And so I'm going to jump over to another clip from Paul Barron, and it's a clip of James Seifert and his thoughts on these Ethereum ETFs. So listen in.
The amount of time you need to interact with these issuers in the SEC to get these documents lined up for Ethereum should be less than Bitcoin. That said, like I said, we're at 69 days now. They started 91 days out, at least, probably more 100 plus days out on the Bitcoin side of things. So, and we're not hearing any indications of that changing, but that could change. The minute we see amendments that are indicative of the SEC having conversations, our odds are almost certainly going to have to flip beyond 50%, but we're not seeing any indication of that right now. I do think, I'm fairly confident that if we do see these spot Ethereum ETFs approved this year, May 23rd, or in 2025, they won't have staking. They will not be able to stake. The SEC does not like staking. We saw that with the Kraken situation. We see that now with Coinbase and others. So they're not a fan.
So obviously, the professional ETF analyst is not as bullish as I have been on Ethereum getting approved with these ETFs. But his main thing there is about the SEC not reaching out to the ETF applicants. In my previous video, I was kind of bullish on this because the SEC did meet with Coinbase to discuss these Ethereum ETFs. And I still think that is bullish because we never saw that in any of the Bitcoin applications until this last approval. So I still think there's a lot to be said there. Otherwise, why would the SEC waste their time talking to Coinbase about these ETFs? I'm not completely convinced that them not reaching out to the applicants is a big deal, because all of the applicants for these Ethereum ETF applicants are the same players as the Bitcoin ETFs. And they probably know what the SEC is looking for. So they probably have all their ducks in a row, other than Fidelity, who is, in my opinion, completely screwing up. But yeah, I don't know that them not reaching out to the applicants is a big issue for me. I don't know. Maybe they have everything lined up and ready to go for the SEC. Not sure. But also, guys, you have to remember that BlackRock is huge, okay? Some people consider BlackRock the fourth arm of the government. And, they're just that big. When it comes to getting things done, it happens. And I don't know. Their track record with ETF approvals is right around 600 to 1. So they've been approved for 600 ETFs and denied on 1. So if I were a betting man, I would not take those odds against BlackRock. Plus, guys, check out this news. This just came out yesterday. And this is Wolf of Wall Street's Scott Melker, really good source here. It says BlackRock launching tokenized assets fund on Ethereum, seeds with $100 million. And if we get into this, it goes into, we kind of see BlackRock being a little clever here. They have named this token BIDL, which is kind of a play on HODL, but instead of hold, it's a play on build in a cryptocurrency lingo, I guess. So you see some humor there, I think, from BlackRock. But this goes into saying that these tokenized assets are going to include like short-term money market funds, investments in short duration securities like commercial paper, certificates of deposit, floating rate notes, on and on and on. So they're getting into tokenizing real world assets. And obviously Ethereum is one of the networks that can do that. So they've gone in big on this whole Ethereum thing. And it's kind of states here that they also have their own application for spot Ethereum ETF in. But it poses a challenge from a regulatory standpoint because of recent history scrutinizing and delaying decisions on crypto-related products. Okay. So yeah, the SEC has been very anti-crypto lately, but they are on a huge losing streak in the courts. Just yesterday, I reported on the debt box decision, and the SEC has actually been sanctioned from the courts. So this is a big deal, guys, because also, as long as staking doesn't come into the question, we will probably see, if these ETFs are denied, we will probably see Grayscale and BlackRock and maybe others take the SEC to court over this. And the SEC will lose. As long as staking is excluded from these ETFs, there is no difference between the Bitcoin ETF and the Ethereum ETF if staking is not an issue, if it's not included into the ETFs. So I don't know, guys. I think BlackRock has massive pull. And when they want things to happen, it usually happens. So I still think there's a really good chance that Ethereum gets approval. Now, there's another issue that came out today. There's a lot of news on this Ethereum front, guys. We're going to jump over to some tweets. This is breaking news just today. Breaking: crypto Ethereum is busted and under investigations for securities fraud. Finally, the Ethereum Foundation is under investigation by government authority. You see all these posts about Ethereum being under investigations. This one, guys, this one kills me. So, investigation, or Ethereum Foundation under investigation for this pick, allegedly. This kills me. So, you guys have heard me talk about Vitalik Buterin, the main developer for Ethereum. And this is Vitalik. And I've always kind of told you guys he's this weird little dude, but just brilliant. But this is maybe the most awkward picture I have ever seen of him. Like, I don't even know what's going on here. This is this is horrible. So, yeah, I mean, this is just a parody of the situation, obviously. It says they're under investigation for this pick, which they probably should be for that. I don't know. Very funny. But then we get into, we'll go over, this is from Paul Grewal. And Paul Grewal is he is the lead lawyer for Coinbase. And it says right here, sigh again with the Ethereum misinformation. As we await a decision on Ethereum ETPs, another name for ETFs, it's exchange traded product. Okay, let's talk about some basic facts about Ethereum. Millions of Americans hold Ethereum. It has been vital to crypto since its 2015 launch, and Ethereum is a commodity, not a security, 1 of 10. So let's get into 2 of 10. The SEC has taken this position for years. Exhibit A, senior SEC officials have said Ethereum is not a security. C.E.G. SEC Director of Corporation Finance Hinman's statement. This was a big thing that came out last year, guys. Hinman was a previous chair at the SEC. And yeah, he came out and stated that Ethereum wasn't a security. Exhibit B, before he was SEC chair, Gary Gensler himself testified before Congress that Ethereum is not a security. See his testimony here. And that, guys, Gary Gensler is an expert on blockchain. He taught this at MIT, one of the most prestigious technology schools in America. So this guy understands blockchain. He's not a dummy. But since he took SEC chair, things have been very political for him. And if this investigation is real, that they're investigating Ethereum Foundation, it's highly likely that there's some political pressure on him somewhere to be doing this. And if they're doing this, they're really looking for dirt on something that they can possibly deny these ETFs, which isn't good. You know, if the SEC is looking for dirt because they want to deny this, it's not good. The one thing I might say is that if there is political pressure from a certain senator and her anti-crypto army, then this may be a way that the SEC is kind of placating them, that senator and her army. So maybe it's a way that they can, the SEC and Gary Gensler can kind of hedge his bets and say, look, you know, we investigated it and there's nothing, we couldn't find anything, so we just couldn't deny these. It's a possibility. I don't know. But at this point, it doesn't look great for Ethereum. But going back over to this, I mean, Paul Grewal goes into all kinds of things. You know, the CFTC has stated that Ethereum is a commodity, not a security. And this just goes on and on and on. So I don't know. Is it misinformation? Or is it, I don't know, guys, but I always go back to the fact that BlackRock, not only are they applying for an ETF for Ethereum, but now with this new real world assets fund, they're pretty massively invested into Ethereum and these Ethereum ETFs. And I just don't know if the SEC, I again go back to Mark Yusko, which I talked about him in one of my previous videos, but he said on this subject, he said that BlackRock has the bigger stick. You know, the SEC, when compared to BlackRock, they've both got their sticks and they can swing them, but BlackRock is the bigger entity here. So the SEC will never admit that. You know, they're the regulator, they're the top dog. But I think when BlackRock says to jump, the SEC technically usually says how high. So I don't know. That's my view on it, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think. I would love to hear any of your views on the subject. It's kind of up in the air now, guys. There's a lot of ins and outs, so who knows. Anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video. And until then, remember, guys, don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the day-to-day prices. Get your minds off the charts. Hold your plan. You've got to have a plan. So yeah, until then, guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye.